Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Tête-à-Tête. With me, I have Zamri. Zamri, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
So we're going to talk about, I know, we're preparing the youth for robotics and universities and education institutions about Industry 4.0 because it seems that everywhere you look, memang they talk about AI, which is artificial intelligence. They're talking about IoT. They're talking about robotics. So it's the future is now, and it's certainly the matter of the moment. And how can we best prepare our learners, our youth, for new careers that are being ushered in by these new technologies? So how do universities need to change? How should we be concerned? And how graduates prepare themselves to become entrepreneurs when employment opportunities seem to be a bit bleak at this time, especially during the pandemic? So Zamri Abdullah, he is actually the head of Technopreneurship Office at the Center of Student Development (UTP) in Malaysia. So what he does is he develops strategies in transforming student mindset from job seekers to job creators and also to become more entrepreneurial. He has developed more than 3,500 engineers worldwide during his lecture years in the chemical engineering UTP. As a startup developer, he has also trained more than 3,000 participants in entrepreneurship and created more than 100 students involved in enterprises. So, Zamri, you're ready to answer my questions?
Yeah. Oh,
So my first question would be, okay, we can learn a lot from the Stanford online education spin-out Udacity, which launched a self-driving car engineering nano degree in the autumn of 2016. So this short $2,400 course is roughly equivalent to a master's degree and aims to take learners through key aspects of using AI to process images and sensor data from a self-driving car. This is one of the most challenging applications for AI because real-world road conditions can be very unpredictable. So, in your opinion, what will future courses look like when it seems like the future is now?
okay. Thank you very much, Hanniz, for the question, and thank you for inviting me for this session. Really look forward to it.
My
Actually,
pleasure.
we are friends, so-called friends in LinkedIn, but now we managed to meet.
Meet
Even
virtually,
though it's not
yeah.
right. That's a new one. Regarding your question, it's very interesting. Because you made reference to the Udacity, because these days you see that there's uh, since COVID-19, since the MCO, there's a lot of demand in terms of online learning. In
Yes.
fact, myself, I myself enrolled in some of the courses in Udemy.
Mhm.
Uh, since the COVID-19, if not because of COVID-19, I don't enroll in that courses as well.
Yep.
And in fact, here in back in UTP as well, we also embark on this online learning
Mhm.
because everything has to be at home, has to be homebound. So a lot of content now is being shared or being delivered by the lecturers through online or through virtual mode.
Yeah.
And in fact, people say that the time taken for students to uh, go through the online learning or digital learning takes 60% less compared
Mm.
to traditional classroom. And in fact, not only that, if you do classroom courses or classroom delivery, it usually take about 8 to 10% retention rate of students how to get the idea about or grab the knowledge. But if you do online learning, it will take normally within 25 to 60%. So there's a huge difference there, lah. So the opportunity is big. In fact, yesterday I did my a course myself, online workshop, where there's about 270 something participants um, for startup development my startup development module. And when we measure how many retention rate of the student is within 70 to 80%. So it's very big. So you can see there's a huge potential of online courses or the workshop, the content that we can, we can deliver
Generate.
online. Well, yeah. What will the future course look like? I think it depends actually. It
Mm,
depends on whether you are catering to the fundamental aspect or you are catering to the very niche or focus areas. Like you were saying, the Udacity nano degree, that is very niche. And also it depends on whether the course would be 100% usage of software, or is
mm,
it required hands-on practices or lab experiments where student skills are being measured in real life. So when again, whatever situation or whatever coverage that you are going to do, learning must comply to these three so-called three domains, which is cognitive skill development, psychomotor skill development, affective domain development. Uh, you see, there's a lot of online courses out there. You can see that most of them are for individual to learn, which is on their uh, own time, right?
yeah.
The lack of interactions between one another, right? For example, when you mentioned the Udacity self driving car just now, a lot of the content is more, if not mistaken, the content is more or less
Collaborative.
about coding,
Yeah.
uh, coding, programming, all of that, right? But for future courses, I think there should be a mixture.
Mm,
Fundamental courses will still be there because it still serves as a basic building block for what to come. Because without the basic or fundamental, students will not learn. Example, if you are taking chemical engineering, you need to learn the fundamental, the core. Either you deliver it online or either you deliver it offline. It depends on the delivery. Then again, the content that goes into that fundamental course must adapt to the current tech. Uh, More or less, you have to include what is the current technology that can be embedded inside the course itself, so that you can produce the graduate that are future proof. Because we want to create a graduate who can solve the problem for the future, not just for the
mm,
current future. So the teachers, the lecturers, the educators have to think on how can I think 10 years, 15 years ahead, so that
mm,
whatever is delivered in my current courses actually can cater for that. So those
mm,
those are the thing lah, basically. And they have to do their homework. They
mm,
have to do the research, try to look around the globe, what's happening, and what will happen if they can embed all of this in the current course. I'll give you an example. Um, I used to teach air pollution engineering last time, and typically when somebody teach air pollution engineering, it's very dry subject. It's very dry.
yeah.
It's very technical and all. But I remember back in 20, when is it, 2018, no, 2017 or 2016, I tried to have a twist of the subject, because the world is started to talk about IR 4.0. Start
Mhm,
to talk about big data. Start to talk about Internet of Things. So we did a project for the students that embed this element of big data. For
mhm,
example, they have to use all the database that they can find online to predict on the one of the air pollution issues that's
mm,
happening in Malaysia. So
mm,
that is one way of doing it offline. So if you do it online, it's quite similar, because you can still embed that in the online mode. Using all of this data and analytics. Either you want to use your IoT and so on and so forth.
mm,
But come back to your question again. Future courses. I have my own wish list. What it should be embedded in there, lah, basically. Some of
mhm,
the wish. Only the wish list is, we hope it will happen,
yeah.
because it's already happening. Some of them now. One, I would foresee the future courses should be very immersive.
Yeah.
Immersive meaning that the student, even though they are not in front of you, not
Mhm.
within the scope of the classroom, but they can feel what's happening. They can
So that's
feel, uh, yeah,
like
you know,
like VR.
some sort of, like, in a way that a student can still do, like, hands-on activities, but in virtual mode.
Mm,
You're correct. This is where the AR has to come into place, the VR has to come into place, even the mixed reality has come into place.
mhm,
Imagine, I took example of chemical engineering. Imagine that you take this course, one course online, but you can still operate, say for example, distillation column or operate the reactor, a big reactor, or operate the pipeline, and you can still touch on all the buttons, and you can feel the feedback of touching the buttons. For example, with the haptic feedback, but through virtual. So how can you do that? So if you can
Yeah.
embed that in the virtual mode, that will be superb. That will be immersive. The student can feel. The student can feel there's a value of learning instead of just seeing
Theory.
seeing the theory, seeing the slides, and answering the question online, which is not this is just a normal two-way interaction. The other wish list, I would say that it has to be collaborative. It has to be collaborative because when you talk about you are going to develop somebody in the to revolutionize this 4.0 or toward 4.0, you cannot be silo. You have to be very collaborative. Uh, so this platform of learning that we have or that we should develop must be able to develop not just the cognitive skill, but they have to develop the psychomotor skill, affective domain, and as well to make it holistic, full.
Yeah.
I mean, well-rounded graduates. But all of this should be, of course, it's been done virtually.
Yeah.
So all the content developer, content creator should ensure that whatever they try to embark on or try to offer, it has to embed in this. Again, when we do this kind of collaborative, you have to think about what are the skills that we want the student to fulfill or to really have or to grab upon. Example would be if we look at the World Economic Forum, they mentioned about 2022 skills, or in the previous, I think 2017, they said 2020 skill.
Yeah.
Now, last year, they said
2030.
2022. Yeah, 2022. So it's always ahead. We have
Yeah.
the what do you call it, the guide there. So,
Yeah.
for example, for 2022 skill, we have analytical thinking, we have active learning, we have creativity, we have tech design, we have the complex problem solving, leadership and social influence. So those are some of those affective domain. So how do you ensure that the environment of virtual learning can embed this domain as well as immersive? So that will be a very very good what do you call it? A very good future courses lah. And the third wish list would be I think everybody now should start thinking of offering something which is future, really future. It's not just current, a future. Something that we always say about um, creating job that never existed yet. So the
And
educators,
that's how Tesla works, right? They will work
yes,
in the future.
yeah, they work in the future because people don't expect it to happen, but it happens.
Yeah.
So they must be thinking before, probably 10 years before, so that they can implement it. So what we are going to do for our next generation is we have to think now, what do we predict that the future, our future son or daughters is going to be, our future students is going to be, the future leaders is going to be. We start to do it now, but ensure it's always agile. So the content always agile, always continuously developed, continuously updated, so
Built
that
on.
you will, yeah, we can build on that. Because we always want to ensure that the graduate to be not just competent, but in technically, but also effectively they can communicate well, and yeah, I mean become just a holistic graduate. I think that's my take for yeah the hopefully the courses should be in future. It's quite long.
There's a long explanation for the first question, and I've got two more for you.
Okay,
um,
right.
we've got actually a question, I think, from GD. If such a domain learning is essential, how do you see students access to this often? As we know, to a norm that countries don't really seem to invest so much in R&D. Yeah, which I think I agree. We kind of lack in terms of R&D. If we compare to countries like Israel, for example. We see them developing their technologies way, way ahead of ours. So how do you see us overcome that dilemma?
It goes back to the educator itself, I guess, because educator is the frontliner for the teaching and learning, uh, and innovation has to come from within within the classroom itself.
Mm,
Uh, that's why I said just now the content of the course itself must be agile, must be updated. You should not be carrying, for example, if I teach fluid mechanics, of course I'll be teaching the fundamental all the way around. But at the same time, what is the current technology that relates with that current with that particular uh, focus area or the subject I'm teaching? You know,
mhm,
uh, example, when I give you example, last uh, uh, I learned about IoT back in, I think, end of 2013. No
mm,
IoT. I read somewhere in UK UK newspaper, and I thought back then, if I somehow embed IoT into my course, how is it going to be?
mm,
And I test that into my course, one of my course, which is the chemical engineering lab. I tell the students, now you have done your lab work, so I'm giving you a project. Imagine that I'm sitting at Kedai Mama. You
mm,
know, I want to control the equipment in the lab, which is
mhm.
about 1 kilometer away. How can
Yeah.
I do that? You know, so I give that kind of a task to the students,
So
and the project,
real
yeah,
life scenarios.
like yeah, the real life scenario. So what we do is I give them a project of app development.
Mm,
And then they question why we are chemical engineering, but we have to do app because
mm.
I'm preparing you for the future. So they are questioning, and but we have to ensure that we know what is the why, the behind why we do that. And since that, I've implemented it for every semester,
Yeah.
and we can see that students be tested this kind of approach, and they start thinking, oh, it's actually good for my future. And some of them come back and say, thank you, sir, because this is the first time that we do this kind of problem. And when
Mm,
they come during the final year, one of them even do IoT for the project.
okay.
Uh, so which is
On
actually
their, on their own accord.
on their own accord. Yes,
Mm,
because some of the courses in our subject is related to control, so it's part of the IoT. So again, it depends on the lecturer or educator itself, himself herself, because you are the forefront, you are the one who are going to deliver. You have to ensure, you have to try to make sure uh, implement this, what we call it, uh, the maker mindset. You know,
mm,
always creating
mm.
related to your own subject, whether it is a tech subject or non-tech subject. Try to create something which is innovative, that student can learn, can think, can spark their mindset in terms of
Imagination.
uh, become innovative. You know, there's
Yeah.
actually that precursor for entrepreneurship, being innovative, how to spot opportunities, and all of this. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I think you did. I think sometimes what we lack in our local, some local lecturers is that they themselves have not gone through the entrepreneurial journey. So they don't understand the practical ways of implementing a certain theory because it's all theory to them.
Yeah,
So I guess it's more about also re-evaluating how they are learning themselves and then
yeah,
delivering whatever they learn to become more current, I suppose.
correct.
Um,
Mm.
yeah. Okay, so my next question would be: it's clear that institutional agility is becoming an increasingly important topic, like you mentioned before, able to
Mm.
adapt and able to build on. This may involve new ways of working, such as a fully online delivery and blended learning. So, just to keep track of key technologies can be quite a challenge, as they're always
Yeah,
evolving very quickly.
yeah, yeah.
How should education institutions work with industry to make sure that the learners are ready to be in the real world?
Oh well, this is actually a good question. Working with the industry is very essential. It's very vital because you are connecting with the real life application, right? Um, most university, I believe that they have advisory team that include industry practitioners. Even in UTP, we have a industry expert panel and industry advisory panel who actually review, advise, and also develop our curriculum. And this panel is consists of real practitioners, real engineers, real tech people, even some of them are entrepreneurs, because we want to give what do you call it, a range of expertise that can give input. If you put, say, for example, technopreneurs or entrepreneurs, they can see the market trends. So this is actually very important for the graduates to start thinking, oh, it's actually like that. I'm learning like this for me to ensure that I can be or I can solve the problem like in the future like that. So that we have the advisory team from the industry to really look into this matter. And on top of that, we have a very important internship program. Because internship is basically going to what do you call it, connect between learning theory in the class with the actual implementation or actual activity in the industry. At for example, at our university, at UTP, we have the longest period of internship, which is, it used to be 8 months, now it's 7 months of internship. It's almost like working in the industry itself. Yeah,
Yep.
it's very structured internship. Even it is actually endorsed by Talent Corp to be the one of the structured internship program in Malaysia, and this is where the student have a real world experience, and we send student internship throughout the world. I remember back in, even myself, I go and visit the student. We have to visit the student twice during the internship period, because the first one is actually for to see how they're doing, the alignment with the project and everything. The second one is for the second presentation. Um, it's good to see that the transformation of students. We realize it quite a lot, because if you see the student before the internship, they are more like kids. They're more like, just normal kids and all. But once they come back, once they return, the mindset change, the attitude change, the behavior change. So because they have been exposed for 8 months, 7 months during the with real life interface of the industry. Some of them go into like refinery, see real reactors operate, real reactors, real pipeline. I mean the big pipeline, not just small at house like something like that. Some of them even go to. I remember I went visited the student in Japan. Uh, they're doing a project, more on research project, but still solving the problem of the industry. So those are some of the important apa ni,
Matching.
uh, matching with the industry. And not only that, we have on the apa ni, some of the courses, we have adjunct lecture. Adjunct lecture in mean that we bring in the industry practitioners like engineers, entrepreneurs, or people in the certain industry. They give talk, they give apa ni, uh, a session that they share what is actually the certain domain of the course. For example, we bring in engineer from, for example, refinery. So they share what is the control system in refinery with the respective student who are taking the control course, process control. Last year, I bring the student to Drone Academy Asia in Cyberjaya, because the students are learning about, they're doing project on drone, if I'm mistaken. So when you develop something in lab, you cannot see what is actually application of this particular technology in real life. So I bring them to the Drone Academy Asia in Cyberjaya, because I also undergo the courses there before, and they see, oh, this is actually the drone industry that they're actually implementing what we are trying to do, in lab. So that's actually the industrial interface, and they learn what is the the real process of building, not just the tech capacity, but also in terms of how they develop a business out of the drone itself. So that's what we think. There's quite a lot lah, basically. On the research part, for example, it's very important that a very important factor is we have one program that we call Joint Industry Program, or JIP. JIP is the one which you have to find industry partner, you solve problem for them, and during the solution solving period of the project, or the project management period, this is where the students come in to also be part of the team. I remember back in, I think, 2015. Yeah, 2015. There's one project under government. We call it PPRN, Public Private Research Network, in which the recipients are actually the SME.
Right.
SME has problems, so they ask researchers around Malaysia to pitch their solution to the industry, or to the SME, and we see that that's actually the real problem. It's not made up problem. It's not really is not coming up.
It's not like a trend-led kind of thing. It's more about really solution finding projects.
Right.
Okay.
So this is where this is where how the industry come in, basically.
Okay.
And a lot of university are doing that because they see that the value of having the industry to be part of it is actually huge. It's actually part of the developing them.
It does make a big difference, because you can't expect the education institutions to have all the machineries and all the equipments that are required in the real world now. So by matching the students to these industry players who already have these equipments for them to practice on, it makes a huge difference. Yep. So as I mentioned earlier, also job opportunities seems hard to come by, and there is an increase in interest to become entrepreneurs among the young and among graduates. How can they prepare themselves better for the grueling but satisfying journey in this long term in entrepreneurship?
Oh, okay. People ask that question quite a lot. There's quite a popular question. Entrepreneurship become very exciting, but by no means is easy. Entrepreneurship is easy. But again, employment also is not easy. So nothing is easy. You can choose either. Yeah, you can choose either you want to be employed, or you want to create your own employment. But again, my advice is simple for those people who choose the path towards entrepreneurship. First, educate yourself. Education is very important. A lot of we see a lot of, even when I develop startups, we see some of the startups they just jump into to do the business and all without having the prior knowledge, So that's very dangerous.
No research, and they just see the trend that's happening, like the bubble tea thing.
Especially those who are thrill seekers, they just jump in. But again, get yourself educated, and before you jump into the entrepreneurship straight away. I would always tell my startups or my entrepreneurs, start with why. You must start with why. Why you're doing this? Is it money oriented, or is it purpose oriented? If you're if you are doing it for money oriented, it's always a dry motivation. There must be a purpose oriented, so that you know what is actually being fulfilled for people. What is value you are creating to people. For Muslims, for example, you have to ask why you're doing this. Is it because you want to become rich, or is it you want to become a contributor to zakat? Because become entrepreneur, you have your own income and all. Contribute to zakat. The more you contribute to zakat, the more prosperity you bring to the people. So start with why. Another one is you should. I think a lot of entrepreneurs must know about problem solution strategy. Normally they produce products, but no market. Why?
Yeah.
Because no market, meaning that there is no problem to it. So instead of providing solution, you must know what is the problem first, and learn how to spot opportunity, how to spot problems, solve the problem for people. I think anyone can spot problem if you are given the skill to find the problem, frame the problem very well and all. I always say to my entrepreneur is actually the one who can unlock the mystery of human needs. you know, because once you can unlock the mystery of human needs, you have touched their heart. This is where you can solve their problem. So that's kind
Mm,
of approach that we learn about the product market strategy,
mm,
because the difference between entrepreneur and innovator and businessman. Entrepreneur is always the one who can spot opportunity, but innovator is the one who innovate or make improvement or change something, but they don't really know how to create value.
right.
Once you have entrepreneurial mindset, you know how to create value. You can actually see the extension of what you produce so that it can give value to people, and have a strong business acumen. That was very important. Strong business acumen. Entrepreneur, if you're doing it just for the sake of solving the
Spending
problem,
money.
yeah, spending money. No, you can do that. Basically, you have to ensure that you know about your cash flow, you know
Yeah.
your runway, you know
Mm,
your profit, profit loss and profit and loss. Money management is very very important. So business
mm.
acumen should be there. Cash is king. MCO. Yeah, MCO is actually teach a lot of people.
Yeah.
Cash is actually very important for business.
It's true.
Because
A lot of
say,
um, a lot of startups were actually having to lay off their staff. Even big companies like Uber, Grab Singapore, and these are startups which have been around for some time, but even then they
yeah,
are very badly impacted. So your business, I think we will all be somehow impacted. That is just about how much impacted you are.
hmm,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
Mm. All right. So I've got okay, thank you, Gobain, for joining us today. He's actually asked a few questions which you have immediately answered as well along the way.
Okay.
Yes. Do I have? Yeah, I guess that's it for today. And if there's no other questions, then we shall wrap up because it's already 30 minutes done.
All right.
Okay, great.
That's
So
the
thank you.
session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zamri, and we'll catch up on LinkedIn, of course.
Yes, of course. Bye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.